Hello Rockstars, Gargudon here, and welcome to episode 2 of the new Gunslingers and Street Racers podcast here on GTABase. Today we are going to be digging deeper into the future of Red Dead Online as well as the Red Dead series in general. And joining me for this discussion is fellow member of the GTABase team, YangyYoung. Say hi.
Hello.
It's great to have you here. Now, just before we get started, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do here on GTABase and in the Rockstar community.
I recently joined GTABase after doing lots of just random tweets and stuff based on Rockstar Games things and other things because I have more than one interest. And I joined GTABase and I wrote a few articles, and then I started to notice that my concept articles, specifically for Red Dead Online, bring me the most sort of attention. People like them, and I have a lot of ideas on how Red Dead Online could be developed because we all know it's lacking in that area, to say the least.
Red Dead Online is definitely dry at some point, and we're therefore I'm glad to have you for this discussion. So yeah, sounds like you're the expert. Now, like I said last time, just before we dive into this, remember everything we talk about during this discussion is pure speculation. None of it is official or confirmed by Rockstar Games, and I just wanted to say that as there are some in the Rockstar community with a tendency to spread fake news and whatnot. Now, with all introductions and whatnot out of the way, let's dive into this. So, the first thing I would like us to cover is, what do you think of the current state of Red Dead Online, and where do you see it going in the future?
It's a bit of a hot take, and I have a similar opinion with GTA Online. It's not perfect. There's a lot of things that could be done.
Absolutely.
But it's fun to play with mates. It's fun to just mess around. You know, it's
Yeah.
not entirely about what grinding to me is.
It's-
I like to have a
It's
laugh,
funny
I like to,
because in all the time Red Dead Online has been out, I haven't actually played it that much with other people. I don't know why that is. Maybe I've just been unable to find people to play with, or I have sometimes here and then, but in general I just haven't been that big a player of Red Dead Online. And I think there are many reasons for that. I think
Now me and my mates do multiple things, whether it's gathering a bunch of horses and burning them on a railway to see if we can break the game by having a train ride into them, or if we just go on a rampage using only like bows and machetes and Sandini. It can be a bit of a laugh from time to time. You know, you don't have to take it too seriously, and that's something I'm a big advocate for in Rockstar Games. Is a lot of people try to take them as this big grinding PvP mega serious game, and it's like there's flying bikes and explosive bullets. You
that's GTA Online. And as I said in the last episode, GTA Online has become like this sci-fi game by now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that either. I find that quite fun. It's something new and unique, you know.
Unique, sure. It just doesn't suit Grand Theft Auto necessarily.
Yeah.
And that reminds me, I can't wait for the Red Dead Online update where you're going to be able to replace your horse's feet with like rocket boosters or something.
Well, I mean, let's hope they stick to the fact that they've said they won't do that. I could maybe see us for one Halloween or something getting a Pegasus that can fly.
Yeah, some kind of
Like
a la Undead Nightmare,
it'd still
or
be ridiculous, you know.
yeah, there were unicorns in Undead Nightmare, weren't there?
Yeah,
I think there
unicorns
was.
and the
Yeah.
four horses of the apocalypse. The four horses of the apocalypse were actually the things I added to one of my concepts for the storylines, where you could unlock trinkets to give your horse an apocalyptic effect in the normal Red Dead Online, which is a fun idea.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, as you said, Red Dead Online is good at its openness. I guess, you know, you can do anything. Just hop on with mates. If you want to just ride around, do that. If you want to do some PvP, you can do that. You can do anything, I'd say. And I will say, as I said, not that I'm the biggest player of Red Dead Online, but when I have played it, especially in the beginning, it was very grindy, and I will say it still is to some degree. I don't know if you'll agree with me.
Yeah, I mean, I've got around 5-6 grand in the game, and it's like, I trying to make money is legitimately just sitting in my camp, taking in any animals I can, or maybe having a legendary animal supply.
In a way, I think it was because perhaps Rockstar, they didn't have a full vision for Red Dead Online to begin with. Like,
they've tried to fix the GTA formula in the end.
Yeah, and kind of copied into Red Dead Redemption, but Red Dead Redemption is just just works best as a single player game. I think there's little doubt there. Just exploring and such.
I think what online needs to match the quality of single player is, I mean, it needs the random events and the dynamic, everything that happens in the world and the little Easter eggs that are separate for single player and stuff. But also, I think it needs, what made single player was the deep emotional story and the connection you had to Arthur.
Absolutely, that was one of the main points, and then just riding around, literally just exploring. You can spend hours doing that, like.
You could still do that in Red Dead Online, but
absolutely.
There's not as much to find. Like, you don't have any of the special Easter eggs or like the demons in the caves and stuff. See if
absolutely
Red Dead
not.
Online had exclusive sort of events like that. It would encourage exploration, and of course, you need a better bond with your character. You need your character needs to have emotions, and you don't need a voice for that. You just need maybe a bit of a trail, someone that you care about, maybe Jessica Leclerc kicking the bucket, or a revenge story. Destiny managed to do it with Forsaken, and that your character only has like 2 voice lines.
Oh, okay. I haven't played that, but yeah, sounds like they could pull that off if they ever wanted to do something a little more story-wise for online.
The Moonshiner story was a step in the right direction. Like,
I actually haven't really spent time with those updates at all. I've played around with the collector and bounty hunting a little bit, but other than as I said, I just never really have gotten that much into Red Dead Online. It's mainly for me, like, if I have nothing else to play and just want to chill a little bit, I'll throw that on, do a little PvP, maybe collect the bounty and just ride around. But it's not like a game I get fully invested in, if you know what I mean. Like the story mode, for example, or an Assassin's Creed game, or Grand Theft Auto 5 or something.
I find it a bit like The Sims, where it's like I don't play it for a while and then I go on a 2-week binge, leveling up and doing a bunch of stuff, and then I don't play it for a while again.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, and just to return to that, as I said, like, perhaps, Rockstar's vision was hold from the beginning in terms of Red Dead Online, because I think there was for a long time, where people like complained there was barely anything to do, and it was still in beta for quite a while, and all that stuff for like the first 5-6 months, and it wasn't until like a year, 10 months after, that we got that Frontier Pursuits update, which like added some new original thing to the game.
That was still the biggest update and the best update that they've done, because it laid the groundwork for what they were doing, and I think that should have been there to start with, because it started off in the same state that GTA Online started off with.
Yeah.
But GTA Online, when it was in that state, died pretty quickly until other things brought it back, and I think Red Dead just needed that extra thing just so it could compete with GTA.
Yeah, in a way, and I mean, I don't know how to say this, but perhaps it's almost, I'd say, in terms of playing with your friends, it's almost like Los Santos is a bigger playground in a way than like the than the West, and maybe also because GTA Online just had way more. It had like 500 like missions plus at launch, and that was everything from PvP to contact missions to races, all that stuff.
Makes you do them in lobbies as well. But another part that makes Los Santos and the entire island of southern San Andreas feel like a bigger playground is because you're not just refined to a horse and being on your foot. You can fly, you can go on a boat in Red Dead, but there's not really much point to it. You can't even fish on a boat. What's that about? You can't get your hot air balloons in Red Dead Online and stuff like you could in GTA. See if all of that was available. The methods for transport, like imagine taking a hot air balloon from Saint Denis to Blackwater straight across Flatiron Lake. Like, it would completely change up the pace of the game, the format of the missions, how people would play it. People would maybe fast travel less. It could, like, honestly, if you had more methods of transport like that, in one of my concept articles, I think it was Small Editions, I mentioned a ferry that you can pay to take you across Flatiron Lake, and it wasn't a fast travel system, it was like a quick wee boat across, but maybe the boat would have like a gambling system or something on it to keep you entertained whilst you were there.
Sure,
like that would just mix things up a little bit, and it would It had a little bit of role-playing element, which people seem to like more in Red Dead Online. I mean,
Yeah.
you like it in GTA if you look at all the 5M servers and stuff, but...
Sure. I mean, I guess in general that like the current state of Red Dead Online is it's on to something. It just had like there are a lot of great ideas. Like it's almost kind of like a choose your path in a way. Like, do you want to become a bounty hunter? Like, kind of serve the law? Do you want to be your own outlaw? Like, be a moonshiner? Do you want to be a collector? Kind of in between. There's lots of different paths. And then in between, you can do PvP and those, like, I'd say in quote signs, story missions, go into the fort, kill those guys, blah, blah, blah. But it just doesn't have the same juice, if you can call it that, say.
Yeah, I don't know what's really happened there because, I mean, single player took 8 years to come out after the first game.
Like, by the time the original Red Dead Redemption came out, like, they had already fully written the prequel or something. I don't know. Or they were working on it.
They spent a while working on it, and then
I think they had been working on it since 2011 or something. And then, like, it was around when GTA 5 came out, they started doing mocap and voice lines and stuff.
Yeah, and it really shows, like, you can see tweets from Roger Clark saying that he was filming and, like, recording in 2016, and his nephew or something was saying, oh, you've got to be in Red Dead Redemption 2, you've got to be in Red Dead Redemption 2, and he was always saying, no, I'm not in Red Dead Redemption 2, because he thought it was going to be called something else, Red Dead Retribution or something.
That's the funny thing. Everybody said, no, people stop calling it Red Dead Redemption 2. It's not going to be called that. And then then the second it's officially called that, all the people who said that are doing like that Homer Simpson walking slowly backwards into the bush or something. I couldn't help but think of that.
That was an awkward moment. I'm not gonna lie. I was a big fan of.
I mean, I was expecting like Retribution or something too. Definitely.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe a 3-syllable word because Retribution's 4 because it Revolver, Redemption.
Yeah.
Reloaded. Oh my god, see if they remastered Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. Like everybody wanted it, they could call it Red Dead Reloaded.
Absolutely. Oh, we're on to something there. But yeah, I guess we could all. I guess we haven't really talked about. I guess we could talk about that quickly. Red Dead Online. Where is it going? Like, where do you see it going?
It depends on how much Rockstar really want to put into it and what they do with GTA. I hate to say it, but a lot of it relies on their response to GTA and
I mean,
Red Dead and
I think the truth is they're gonna keep GTA Online active until like the sun burns out or something.
I think GTA Online will eventually become its own sort of game with all of the GTA maps being added to it.
I mean, at least they're. I think they are doing something along the lines of that for the PS5 version. They are saying that it'll be like a standalone version. Like, at least finally they're admitting that it's like that it's GTA Online and not GTA 5 they care about.
It's confusing. They don't really make their objectives clear. I just think if Red Dead Online needs to succeed, though, they need to do more than 2 updates a year.
Absolutely.
Because remember, especially in the early days of GTA Online, we got one every month, and then it slowed down to maybe every 3 months or so, and then every 4 or 5 months. Now it's like 2 updates a year per game. But GTA can survive with 2 updates per year because GTA has got so much content in it already.
So much unnecessary stuff by now, I'd almost say. And I kind of did cover that in the last episode, so I'm not gonna go full throttle into that now.
I think Red Dead Online. I mean, it needs basic things. It needs houses that you can actually stay in. I mean, I've released 2 properties articles, and I've released gameplay, storylines, and
it would definitely that could be a part of it. It would definitely give a feel of more intimacy in a way that you're not always in this big camp, but maybe you can purchase a room in Saint Denis or wherever you are, like rent a room, kind of like in story mode. You can rent a room or something.
Progress, and it's a sense of success, and like you've achieved something. Because I mean, why have I got $5,000, which I'm going to translate that at the minute, and I've not got a house? I've got the equivalent to $172,000 in current day.
Wow.
Currency. I should be able to have a house.
Absolutely.
At least a shack. Come on.
Absolutely. But yeah, I guess in the future, I I don't think, to be honest, Rockstar have that big plans for, as you also said, Red Dead Online, the same plans they have for like GTA Online, and I'm honestly fine with that. But I guess even though I'm not the biggest player of Red Dead Online, it's nice with simplicity in a way, that it is simple, that it is kind of just like this gateway to just chilling out a bit, and you can chill with your mates, just do a fun bit of like Western role playing, and form your posse and have fun like that, and it's not this overcrowded thing like GTA Online has become, because it definitely started out the same simple way. There was just a lot of stuff to do, but now it's overcrowded with, I don't even know. I'm not gonna go into that again.
Yeah, I think that there still needs to be way more to do. If Red Dead Online could get to that point where they're maybe starting to sunset old content, GTA Man done a pretty good video on that, where he talks about how GTA should start, removing old things and nobody plays anymore, like strange adversary modes, like, I don't know,
definitely,
Turtle Wars or whatever that is. And if Red Dead gets to the point where they can start doing that, maybe taking out some of the older adversary modes or showdown modes or whatever they're called in that, maybe some of the contact missions. Actually, one of my concepts for Red Dead Online was seasons.
Oh, so like the season pass. You didn't mean like the weather changes all depending on season, or?
No, you know how, like, I hate to compare it to it, but Fortnite does seasons, and then maybe the map changes.
I've heard of it, but I'm not that familiar with it.
Basically, every couple months, the map changes a bit, some of the weapons and stuff change and all of that. I think Red Dead Online should go through something like that, where it takes you through the story of Red Dead Redemption 2, giving you a different outlook on it, and then it can drive people into playing the single player more, because for some reason, there's like people that have never played Red Dead Redemption 2 single player. What are you doing?
Absolutely.
And they've only played online because online games are only their thing, and I understand that.
Get to work on the story mode right now, is all I have to say.
Finish the story, cry like a little bitch like I did, and just enjoy yourself.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's I think if they went through the storylines and they showed you maybe cutscenes to a slightly different perspective, and you could see things happening as all the new updates came out, and you just get a little bit of a sort of idea of the Red Dead Redemption 2 story. You can visit the camp and still get missions for Sadie and Sean and stuff when they're there. And then when, spoilers, Sean dies or Sadie goes away and stuff, these people go away as quest givers and maybe someone else takes their place.
Yeah.
And then the Red Dead Online world develops, because right now we're stuck in the same weird, like, 2 months before single player.
Yeah.
With, like, buildings half built in.
To be honest, I wouldn't want Red Dead Online to, like, advance in time in a way, because that is what Rockstar claims with GTA Online, and that is just an excuse for them to, like, ruin a bunch of great characters from, like, GTA 4 and waste them in, like, the background of a nightclub DLC, for example, or something. So, if you know what I mean, I wouldn't want that, because then I fear, as you say, characters like Sean or Sadie, then they kind of just might get, like, kind of...
I mean, they're already in Red Dead
weak, and it's cool as long as it just takes place before, because if you start tying it into the main story or after the story, like, I have a feeling, like, you know...
If anything, it takes them out of Red Dead Online, so it's more of a standalone thing.
Yeah, it would just... I don't want the online games to be used for, like, character progression or something, because that's what happened with GTA 5. I mean, I don't consider most of that canon, just because it's a lazy excuse for something they wanted to do in another way, but hell, they're doing it this way now because that makes them money, in a way.
I think I mostly come up with this because I think Red Dead Online just needs to move forward in time, and all the buildings that you see getting built in single player over time needs to eventually get to that stage in online, because it's just a bit strange seeing the same construction site in Valentine over and over, and the same lumber companies that cut down all the forests in Strawberry. I think it would just be nice to, like, say in 5 years' time from now, we go through and Red Dead Redemption 2's story actually passed in real life.
If anything, like, the years in between Red Dead Online and like, let's say, the epilogue of the story mode, I'd rather want to see them handle that in, let's say, a single player expansion, just because there's going to be more. It's going to feel more natural that way. But but let's get into that. I actually have that written down for another episode, so I'd save that for there if that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. I also think we've covered this all around. So let's hop on to the next thing I have written down here, if that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. That is, where do you think we'll see the Red Dead series in general go in the future, especially in terms of a potential fourth installment, its time setting, and it tying into the existing Red Dead story?
Well, here's a fun thing to think about. If Jack Marston lives a long, happy life, like an average lifespan, he could have died in the 80s.
Yeah. He was born in 1895, so yeah, he would have been 90 there in the 80s, and I like to imagine he lived to see the moon landing or something.
Yeah,
that would be quite the. There's a certain like grand thing to that in a way. Like he lived as a little kid during the Industrial Revolution, and well, now we're on the moon.
Yeah, I'd like to see him just as a wee sort of cameo character in like an LA Noir, LA retro sequel type thing. Just as a laugh.
I mean,
it'd be quite funny, but I think we'd need a different storyline with new characters or similar characters.
Personally,
like
I would like one set, during like the height of the Wild West era, if you know what I mean, like in the 1870s or 1880s. While the Wild West was hot. Because in the other games, it's like slowly dying out or pretty much died out. And then it could Red Dead Retribution-ish, apropos that we talked about. I haven't actually kind of thought this out in my head, like a game that begins with, like, let's say a former gang member, like he's wound up some of his boys, like he's kind of left the life behind, but then like a rival gang, like not leaving him alone, has like kidnapped his daughter or something, and a failed rescue mission there leads to a retribution mission a few years later. That it's a Western cliche, like sure, but it could work. Like I could see it work. Rockstar could definitely pull that off.
I mean, Rockstar's writing, they could probably pull anything off.
Absolutely, for sure. But I would just, like, regardless of what the story is and who the characters are, I would like to see something set during the height of the Wild West era.
The main question is, how would they fit their online topic into that? Because, let's be real, they're not leaving this online formula behind anytime soon. That's why I believe there won't be a Bully 2, but that's for another story.
Absolutely. But yeah, and even if they set it during, like, let's say in the 1870s or 1880s, it could still, tie into the existing story in a way. Not that we, like, follow it or it sets anything up, but, existing characters could make a cameo. Like, it could be fun to see, like, let's say a young Hosea or young Dutch, or let's say it was set in, like, the mid-1880s. Arthur would be around, like, only around 20 there, and it would be fun to see, like, a teenage John. Because, he would only be, like, a teenager around that time, mid-80s.
Strange to see John without his scars.
But it could be cool, and see him as a youngster, in a way, and kind of maybe see Arthur be this, like, big brother figure to him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so long as people don't cry about John's hair again.
Absolutely not, but yeah, I wouldn't want them to be like main characters throughout the story, but perhaps you work with them, like trying to find some of the men responsible, like for the killing of like whoever you're after.
Yeah, kind of like how you see some like old characters in GTA 5. Maybe not quite the way that they dealt with Johnny from The Lost and Damned, but more Daytona style.
Yeah. yeah. Don't have him there, and then like he just goes out like a wuss in in a matter of seconds.
Those few years must have been pretty hard on him.
Yeah. Like he actually towards the end of The Lost and Damned, he got clean and started cutting his ties, But then, you know, they relocated to San Andreas, and he, for whatever reason, just got up on meth and started dating Ashley again, and yeah, got taken out.
It's a Shakespearean level
That
tragedy.
easily. But yeah, I guess in general, I would. There's a lot of potential for a fourth installment. But what would you like to see? Like something along the lines of what I said, kind of like a classic revenge story, Western revenge story, or something else. What would you like to see?
I'm not sure. I
You're
really
not sure.
want them to explore Charles and the Native Americans a lot more. I feel like there's a really good story there.
That could tie in really well to like an 1870s 80s setting, because it was around there, that they started having it tougher and tougher, the Native Americans, as they started losing more land.
Red Dead Redemption 2 showed how much the American government fought over back then, and I think that
that was what Red Dead 2 did so brilliantly, was that they have a badge, but they hide behind that. They're bigger assholes than these outlaws, these cold-hearted outlaws. Well, at least they have a cause, and that's family. You could say.
I think,
and that is their moral compass, and lets them guide them.
I think you need a big bad like Milton again. Milton was such a brilliant guy to hate.
He was so he was ugly as hell, but he was so cold, with his mohawk and acne and burned out scars, and he was such a dick. But
I'm not sure who played him, but the actor that done it.
And then Edgar Ross, seeing him in kind of like the background for most of the game, but that was just a nice reference, and shows that he was always the man pulling the strings in a way. Edgar Ross. It was almost like Edgar Ross's lifelong mission was to take down anyone involved with Dutch Vanderland.
Well, I suppose Edgar Ross was just Milton's partner, sidekick, slightly lower level guy.
Yeah,
and you killed my mate. I'm passionately going to go and kill all you now, eh?
Yeah, he definitely wanted to finish what Milton started in a way, after Milton gets killed.
I think you do need villains like that, and obviously you need your Micah that's a rat and someone that betrays you, because every good story needs a big betrayal.
Sure.
And, I mean, you never really like Micah from the start anyway, and if you do, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, but yeah, I guess obviously I wanted to tie, let's say a fourth installment. I obviously wanted to tie into the existing story in some way, but then again, I want them to start off fresh. I want them to kind of go new story, new setting, new characters, and stuff.
You don't want them to lean on the old stuff for too long, because it just gets old and dry. You're like, okay, I've seen Dutch Vanderland 300 times. That's enough now.
And listen to his plan 300 times. I don't need to hear about that and Faith again.
I don't want any goddamn mangoes, Dutch. I have a fructose allergy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there definitely is a lot of potential, and I think games like GTA in the past have proved that you can, start off fresh, new story, new characters, new setting, but then again, you can tie into the existing games really nicely. We've seen that in the 3D universe, like GTA 3, San Andreas, Vice City. We saw that with 4 and 5, and also just in general, it would be at some point, if that's in 4 or 5 or 10 years, a fourth Red Dead installment has to happen, because it is I'd say my favorite video game universe out there is Red Dead.
It's a strong contender. We don't know how long that'll be. Because Halo is still my favorite game universe because it holds a special place in my heart. But Red Dead's a close second. But we don't know how that'll be in a month when Cyberpunk comes out. But it should definitely get a sequel again, or another. I don't know. Can you call it a sequel if it's not really the same characters?
Yeah, I guess you could, as long as it's just in the same universe and stuff, because the question is, Red Dead started off with Red Dead Revolver, which I don't know that much about, and then, they kind of rebooted with Red Dead Redemption, but then again, I hear lots of references to the guy, Red Harlow, is that his name?
Yeah.
I think it is like in the first Red Dead Redemption, there are lots of like references to him, obviously proving that it isn't the same universe. But then again, like when you hear Red Dead, you mostly think the story of the Vanderlyn gang.
Oh, actually, do you know what I would really like?
What?
A Landon Ricketts story.
That could work if maybe because he's an old man in 1911 in the first game, so it would be fun.
Yeah.
It would be a perfect opportunity to see him, like 30, 40 years earlier in like the 1870s or 80s when he was
It's
a notorious
good time,
gunslinger. Maybe you even work with him throughout some of the story.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a legend in 2, he's a legend in 1. He teaches John a lot about shooting in 1 as well. So it's like, it's a perfect tie-in where he's still technically a mentor, but not yet. And
Yeah.
see, having them like learn his tricks or
Yeah.
with whoever he runs with
And
and stuff would just be good.
Now that I think of it, I think another thing I would like for let's say a potential 4th installment was not that I love Red Dead Redemption 2's really, huge and diverse map, but there is just a certain nostalgia, when riding around like, New Austin and like southern West Elizabeth, just because that is where it feels the most like the West, and it is a Western game after all. And there's also just such a nostalgia to it. I think I would like it to be set more in primarily the West again, if you know what I mean. Sure, you can still have mountains like the Grizzlies and stuff like up north. Maybe it's not a life or death factor, but
I think Red Dead Redemption 2 just needs more content, and especially Red Dead Online just needs more content.
Yeah. Because that's the funny thing about Arthur's story. Even though it is a Western story, like it's not set in the West at all.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's set and Arthur is called the Legend of the East for a reason.
Yeah, well, John's Legends in the West, he's Legend in the East.
Yeah.
He's the Legend of the North and the South, so.
That would be like Charles or Sadie or something. I don't know.
Charles would be North and Landon Ricketts because he goes to Mexico as the South.
Yeah, like or I think I think Charles goes to like Canada or something. Maybe with the natives, and who knows where Sadie goes, but I'm going to cover that in a little bit in probably the next episode, focusing on potential story expansions for RDR2. So let's save that for there. But I think we can agree that like there is a lot of potential for a 4th installment, and I hope to see this sooner than later, no question. And as you say, I would like fresh setting, fresh story, fresh characters. But it can still tie in to the existing story, just to expand the universe, and because it would be opportunity served on a silver plate. Like as you said, Landon Ricketts, young Hosea, young Arthur, and stuff like that.
What if you do like missions for like a beginning sort of entrepreneur, Leviticus Cornwall, who hasn't built his business up yet?
That could also be fun.
Partially responsible for how powerful he is.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. Like almost make this prequel in a way. Like as much as it's it's a separate revenge story for for whoever is the protagonist. It's also just as much like setting up Red Dead Redemption 2, if you know what I mean. It's kind of I don't know the I don't know the words for it, but it's kind of like the Star Wars movies with like Solo and Rogue One almost. Kind of like provides the backstory without it being a direct part of the tale. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, kind of like that, I guess. That could definitely work. And as you said, then there's also a little bit of Leviticus Cornwall, who obviously causes the Vanderlyns hell about 10-20 years later. And what else? Like there must be some more characters from like the first couple games, the first game or something that could like
Heist's concept has an overarching storyline which is about Agent Milton's rise to being a higher detective thingy, which kind of explains why he's in the really down and like determined to kidnap and dismantle, murder, whatever, the Vanderlyn gang. and it explains a lot of his rage, and I've got another guy who gets yeeted off at the end. But I recommend reading The Art of Robbery's concept arc on GTABase, because that was probably my best one.
Okay, that sounds cool. All right, but other than that, I think we've covered this point like pretty good and all around. Do you have anything you would like to add, or anything else you'd like to ask me before we slowly wrap this up?
A lot of people try to tie Red Dead and GTA together. They're like, oh, what if John Marston is related to Michael DeSanto? What if?
And of course, I'd also say some of
your take on that?
I would say there is, just off the top of my head, one specific line in Red Dead Redemption 2 that proves it's not the same universe. But also, I just wanted to mention, of course, Bossman the world would say there's a grave on Mount Gordo, which is John Marston's because he was buried that way. No, it's not John Marston's grave.
Marston wasn't buried on a mountain.
No, and he was buried like in the Midwest or something, wherever that is. But I think. Obviously, I'm all game for theorizing, like trying to connect the two universes. But Arthur literally calls it California when we know that it's called San Andreas in the GTA universe.
However, here's a fun story. In GTA 5, there's a song called California Girls.
And there's also a song on Channel X called Los Angeles.
Yeah. There's also one called
Bugatti. Oh yeah, which is Truffade or whatever that's called. Yeah, Rockstar don't really care. Perhaps Los Angeles is another place in San Andreas then, or
Los Santos is what happens when you buy Ellie off Wish.
Yeah, or California is another myth or something.
The myth of California.
Nah, it's because from what I know, like California was this magical island in an old Spanish legend, and then they called it California when the Spanish colonized it in the 16th century.
Yeah.
They called it California because they thought it was this island, but little did they know it was part of a huge landmass.
Well, California is on the San Andreas fault line in real life, so technically San Andreas is a real place.
Yeah, it is a coastal line or something, the San Andreas coastline. But yeah, I mean. But yeah, to answer your question, that is just, I think we've got proof that it's not the same universe. And also, they call it New York, and we know that's Liberty City, and in a way, I'm glad that it's not the same universe, because we know GTA is just like this. It's almost like an alternate, a parallel universe where everything is a joke.
GTA satire, yeah.
Yeah, and everything is everything in Red Dead Redemption has a much more serious tone. I don't think there's like one sexual joke in Red Dead, while I could make the first 3 pages of stuff you find in GTA.
Yeah, there's some funny bits here and there in Red Dead. Arthur's a sarcastic bastard, and I love him for it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's making some weird meowing noises.
Yeah. All right, but other than that, I think we've covered a lot of interesting stuff. Anything you want to add here finally?
Not that I can think of.
All right.
Wait. One thing you were to add on Red Dead Online, any DLC, right?
Anything.
Any theme,
Let me
content.
think. I don't know. Maybe preferably more of those like strangers. It could be fun with more like callbacks to characters we know. Like, for example, we already have Sean and Sadie we know from this story, and we have Bonnie McFarlane, which is a cool Easter egg for those of us who played the first game.
There's other characters like Shaky as well who are in the first game.
Who sorry?
Shaky. The guy with the really bad star in Peace Landing.
I don't think I remember who that is
He
necessarily.
helps jump on with submissions.
I'll have to look that up, but yeah, I'll probably know him when I see a picture of him, but his name doesn't ring any bells, but yeah, it would probably be more of that, just I guess some more fan service in a way. It could be fun, and because as I said, I've never really been that big a player of Red Dead Online. Like, I'd say I mostly played it like when it first came out, like about 2 years ago now. I think it was the end of November 18. I played it, a little bit there, but there's no question. I just story mode is where it's at. I think my total playtime with that is around 600 hours in total. And it was 230 hours in 2018 alone, the final 2 months of that year where the game was out.
I'm in my third playthrough the story.
Yeah.
The first one I played myself, and the second one I played it. My mum actually watched it all with me because she saw a trailer and was like, "I need to see this."
I guess you could call started again on a replay. I started about a year ago, but I just kind of fell off it for a long time, and I'm about halfway through chapter 4. So the worst has yet to come. It's not gonna be fun, but yeah. To answer your question, I don't know. Just some more fun content for Red Dead Online. If it was maybe strangers, characters we know from the first game, fan service, really. But other than that, I just don't know too much about it, really. I'd almost say to know what I want, what I wouldn't want, in a way.
Well, for me, it's either my Frontier Pursuits concept, which is split up between 3 articles now, or my Heists concept. I can't decide which. Sometimes I write things and I'm sad now because I wish I could do this.
Okay. All right. But yeah, other than that, I think we've covered a lot of great stuff. Should we wrap this up?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Then I just want to thank all of you for watching and listening to episode 2 of Gunslingers and Street Racers, and I hope all of you enjoyed listening to us discuss this. Stay up to date on everything happening on GTABase and more things Rockstar, such as virtual photography from GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. Links to our, as well as my personal social media pages, will be in the description below, should you be interested in checking that out. And be sure to follow Yangy as well, should it be. Links to his socials can also be found down below. And finally, keep an eye out for more Gunslingers and Street Racers coming sooner than later here on GTABase. And if anyone has feedback or topic ideas for future episodes, feel free to share it with us in the comment section below. I can more or less already confirm now that episode 3 is, as I also mentioned earlier, going to be focusing on potential story expansions for Red Dead Redemption 2. It's going to be really fun. We're going to be focusing on Charles Smith, Sadie Adler, Undead Nightmare 2, probably a bunch of stuff in between.
It should be called Red Undead Redemption.
Well, we'll see when that rolls around, but yeah. Now, once again, thanks for watching and listening, everyone. I hope to see all of you again for the future episodes, and until those come out, stay safe in these ongoing pandemic times, and nonetheless, keep this awesome community what it is. And thanks to Yangy, finally here for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good time. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Feel free to come back anytime. Alright, now that sums it up for episode 2 of Gunslingers and Street Racers. Stay safe and active, everyone. See you later, Rockstars. Keep on rocking.